It's Cricbuzz Chatter with Adam Collins and Michael Vaughan after the third day that wasn't between England and the West Indies at Old Trafford. Not a ball bowled due to rain, called off at 4 p.m. local time. You can't see me, Vaughany, but it's been a glorious day here in London, in the nation's capital. Dreadful day up north, especially frustrating for England, who really do need to get a result out of this match.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see now the drizzle's still coming down. It's been raining pretty much all day. We had a little brief spell of about half an hour where it got a bit brighter, then it got a bit heavier. Yeah, Manchester weather, it never fails to disappoint. You always expect a little bit of juice up north. Yeah, frustrating from the England perspective, but I think the West Indies, who will be in this hotel behind me, will be delighted with the fact that now they've got 2 days to try and bat out. I'm sure England just have one target on Sunday, make sure that they bowl them out for under 270, make them follow on, bowl them out again, win the game. But the West Indies have got a real carrot. If they can avoid that follow on, with only 2 days remaining, I just don't think England will have enough time to then bat again and put the West Indies back in. So England have got all the work to do on the Sunday. I still think there's enough in the pitch for them to bowl the West Indies out cheaply twice, but you know, the West Indies have got that carrot now to really aim for, that gives them a bit of hope of getting something from this test match.
Yeah, you mentioned the follow-on. It's not always fashionable in modern cricket, but that's the only real legitimate route to victory for England from here. It'll also sharpen the mind a bit, won't it? It's 19 wickets in 2 days. They know exactly what they have to do.
Yeah, absolutely, and they've got enough angle changes with Sam Curran. We saw him get the first wicket last evening. John Campbell. He'll create rough for Don Bess. You know, big couple of days for the younger off-spinner of England. He'll fancy his chances on this kind of wicket. Broad and Wokes, not a great deal to prove in our eyes, but in their own mind to try and establish themselves as a permanent fixture going forward in the side. They've got plenty to prove to the captain, and then they've got the firecracker Ben Stokes. So there's plenty there for England to use in Joe Root. But they will be nervous because they're 1-0 down in the series. They know that they're expected to beat this West Indies side, and you know, this West Indies side will fight, they'll make it difficult. And when you're only looking at 270 to avoid the follow, and it really is only one batsman to get 80 or 100, and then the rest will just get a few around him, and that should be enough. So Sunday is a big day for the England team.
Bit of scrutiny around Dom Sibley and the tempo he batted on day one and day two, which means that there's less time in the game. But the other way of interpreting that is that without Sibley, they wouldn't have the massive foundation that brings the follow-on into play.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much scrutiny on the way that Sibley played. He played fine for Test match cricket. That's what you want from your opening batsman, and it's allowed England to get a big score. It's allowed the pitch to wear and tear a little bit more, so it's given Don Best something more to aim into and to bowl at in terms of a number on the board. So England have played the game fine so far. You can't predict the weather. You can't rely on a day's play to be washed out. It very, very rarely happens. But England are still in the box seat. They've got plenty, as I said, in terms of the bowling armoury to get the 20 wickets. They can't afford drop catches. You know, you go back to the last day in Southampton, there was 3 that went down, a missed run-out chance, and it'll have to be a sharp England side in the next 2 days to make sure that they get 19 more wickets.
Away from the game itself, the disciplinary committee of the ECB met today and handed down their judgment on Jofra Archer for leaving the COVID bubble. He's going to be reprimanded and receiving a significant fine, albeit one that's not been disclosed. It feels like the right result after a couple of days of significant scrutiny.
Yeah, I think the ECB have dealt with it in the right fashion. It was either going to be a fine, and I'm sure it's a substantial one, or it was going to be a game ban. I guess the question now that he will be available for selection next week. Will he be picked? If England win this test match, you've got Mark Wood, Jimmy Anderson fighting for a spot in that last test as well. I guess the next few days we'll find that out. But I think they've dealt with it very promptly, in the right fashion, and Jofra will be back in the squad for the next test match.
Before I let you go, Vaughany, let's go into the hotspot. So, Vaughany, in the hot spot on a wet day, let's have a bit of fun. You spent a lot of days playing cricket in that part of England where a ball wasn't bowled, where it was rained out, you're in the dressing room all day long. Who was the most annoying player in that situation out of your teammates, and why?
Matthew Hoggard. Matthew Hoggard, he was just, he's a menace. As soon as boredom hits Matthew Hoggard, anything can happen, whether he'd cut the ends of your toes off, your socks, put something in your kit bag that you probably don't want to have, whether he'd nick something from you, whether he'd pull your ears, throw food at you when you're trying to have a kip. Playing poker, he'd just be annoying. Matthew Hoggard. I have to also tell you, Adam, and everyone at Cricbuzz, that You can see behind me this tent. Now this is the tent that we have to go through every single day to get our temperature test. If we pass the temperature test, we then go into the hotel, and vice versa, then come back out, and there's these tents all over the ground for every position that we go into, the media centre, onto the pitch. We have to pass the temperature test. If you don't pass it, you're out of here.
A bit of insight to the COVID bubble in leaving today on Cricbuzz Chatter with Adam Collins and Michael Vaughan. The equation for England simple. They need 19 wickets in 2 days. They've got to enforce the follow-on somehow. For the Windies, if they can survive, they'll retain the Wisden Trophy.